Congratulations to Armin Chevrolet. Visit ArminChevy.com, where dealership meets friendship. MSRP $35,615, tax bank fee of $39.99, down payment due at signing. Requires current lease, household major bank approval on 7/31/23.
For over 4 decades, Kitchen Magic has been transforming ordinary kitchens into extraordinary spaces. Our dedicated team is at the core of our success, combining expertise and creativity to drive innovation and excellence. We understand that your kitchen is more than just a space. It's where memories are made and cherished for a lifetime. We'll craft a kitchen that truly becomes the heart of your home. Discover the possibilities at kitchenmagic.com today. Now offering no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months on your kitchen remodel.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
There is so much developing at this hour, and I will do a deep dive momentarily in all things involving this historic, unfortunate situation with former President Donald J. Trump, current leading GOP candidates for president being indicted. We will get into that, I promise you, but we want to get right to my friend Todd Shepard, Broad and Liberty's chief investigative reporter, who you know well by now, and really talking about Pennsylvania politics, transparency. I touch on this all the times, but when we think about campaign finance, transparency, and reform, and I recently did an interview talking about the transparency with even the calendar of Governor Josh Shapiro and what was behind that. So let's bring in Todd Shepard, Broad and Liberty, and talk all things transparency. Hey, Todd.
Hey, good morning, Dawn. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for. You've survived? You have survived the smoke and the wildfires and all that good stuff.
I have survived the great smoke of 2023.
So tell me about it and talk to me a little bit about, what the House GOP is saying. They're claiming that the Democrats sabotaged the budget, and we have a budget battle going on, obviously, as we TikTok move toward July 1st. They've got to get this thing done by June 30th. And then we have the issue of local efforts for increased campaign finance transparency, and how the title of your latest election law article is How They Have Faltered. So let's start there. What do you see at the county level with campaign finance reports?
Yeah, I mean, look, when Broad and Liberty originally got started in 2019, we were just an opinion site, and then Broad and Liberty brought me on to do news. And as have been just doing basic sort of reporting, political reporting, and occasionally watchdog reporting in the collar counties especially, it just became problematic that if you want to look at a campaign finance report, and here there are a couple of distinctions. So, like if somebody's running for governor, obviously that person, they file their campaign finance report with the state, and it goes on the state website, and you can go there and look at it. The same is true for someone that's running for a House seat or a Senate seat. But if you're running for mayor of Upper Darby, or any municipal office, or if you are running for, or let's say you're not even running for something, let's say you operate a PAC in Bucks County, and all you do, that PAC is just interested in Bucks County things like school board races, you have to go to the county headquarters to view those documents. And so going back 2 years, in 2021, we went to the four counties and the four collar counties and basically just said, actually the three, excluding Montgomery. And we said, why don't you put more of this stuff online? And we didn't ask this to Montgomery because they do put a lot of it online. Now, the little exclusion, or the little caveat here is what Montgomery County puts online are just candidate filings. So people that are running for county commissioner or county sheriff, those kinds of things. They don't put all of the PACs and independent expenditure committees up. So we asked Bucks, Chester, Delaware counties, hey, what would it take for you guys to do something similar to what Montgomery County is doing? And all three counties were, oh, you know what? That's a really good idea, and we're going to look into it. And Bucks County even said, we're really going to get on that ASAP. So that was 2021. Well, it's still a really important election year for a lot of county offices and school boards. And so we circled back to the issue, and lo and behold, nobody's done anything. So we said, what the heck is going on? And making matters worse is Montgomery County, who had been sort of the leader in doing something proactive, they had stopped updating their website. So, it's just a thing where, I guess I would sort of conclude this original thought this way is in the 3 or 4 years that I've been reporting in Pennsylvania, I mean, I've just been awed by the number of citizen groups and parents and just sort of regular everyday activists who have used the state's open records law to be more involved in politics in their region. And I wonder how the political discussion would be different if all of these people, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Green Party, whatever, if they had more access to these reports, if they could just get them online without having to drive to their county office or to drive 2 counties away to get them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you think about this, it should be online. We pay, the taxpayers, right? We pay for it, but it seems like they make it as difficult as they possibly could. And it's nice that you acknowledge that at least Montgomery County has somewhat tried to dedicate. They do have a dedicated web page, and they kind of hosted the filings for the candidates, as you write. But as far as the other Bucks, Chester, and Delaware counties, so they still say they're looking into it, but really we don't have that transparency. And this is 2 years?
2 years that we've been asking.
That you've been asking.
Yeah. And, I think really Montgomery County offers an interesting way to understand why this is important. I mean, if you were wanting to research the background of Josh Shapiro as he was running for governor, mm-hmm. you could have gone onto the Montgomery County website and you could have read his county campaign finance reports dating back to 2011, I think, right? And that would have held true if you were a reporter in Allegheny County or if you were a reporter in California or, maybe you're a Pennsylvania native who, for some reason, you relocated to Seattle, Washington. You could go find those things, right, because they were online. Val Arkush, a former Montgomery County commissioner, she is set to become the health secretary in Pennsylvania. Again, anyone in the Commonwealth can go to Montgomery County site and find her old campaign finance reports. And I just think that's important in a number of ways. It not only does it help people maybe find conflicts of interest, but in cases where, there aren't maybe, let's say, so-called conflicts of interest, it can help someone, have a greater trust in the candidate. So it doesn't always have to be viewed from a negative angle. And so I think those kinds of things explain why this is so important. But I really think the other reason is, like, when you look at, I think the last time I was on, you and I were talking Central Bucks, or every time, you and I are always talking Central Bucks stuff, and that school board race is going to be pretty hot this year, and there are going to be, there are going to be small independent expenditure committees and small PACs that operate in Bucks County. And again, we at Broad and Liberty will be trying to do our best to dig into some of these issues, but again, it's a deal where we will have to go to the county headquarters. We will likely have to pay for copies if we, want to publish anything. Mm-hmm. And so it just, like you said, the government adds all these extra steps, and no one seems really anxious to make it that much easier.
Well, and I think that it leads one to the question of, because we saw at one point a lot of people were surprised that, for example, George Soros was backing district attorneys. And it was, in essence, a smart strategy, I'll put in air quotes, but it was a strategy that we had not seen before, where he was looking to sort of save his pennies to spend his dollars, as it were, to look at these DA's races that maybe don't have the huge finances of a national election, but they make a huge impact. And so we saw that across the country. Are you looking for evidence of this outside money? And we saw, I mean, Shapiro, I remember reporting, and I want to say this was at some point in the fall of 2022, and he had something like $11 million. He had raised a ton of money. The question was, how much of that money was outside of Pennsylvania? How much was from those types like Soros? You know, we have those questions. Do you have any evidence, Todd Shepard, that we have the Soros types backers from outside of Pennsylvania looking toward helping out those school board type elections?
No, and you know, we're still early in the process, and a lot of that money is yet to be sort of exchanged, if you will. But first of all, I think your example on the Delaware County District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer and the way the finances happened when he was first elected, that may be the best example you could possibly bring up. But you know, I think the other important thing about making them available online is oftentimes it's not the first campaign finance report that gives you the whole picture, because monies get moved between so many PACs, political committees, candidate committees, and independent expenditure committees. Oftentimes you have to have 4 or 5 different reports in order to be able to really get the whole picture. And so again, this is a deal where, you know, just going down to the county offices to do this kind of research, it's just archaic. There's no other way to say it. You might as well go. You might as well be trying to look at something on microfiche now. You know, I mean, it's that archaic. And so, I guess, you know, I would just conclude by campaign finances are so convoluted in the way the number of times money gets moved. And these committees know exactly what they're doing, that if they move it enough, it starts to confuse who's doing what, right? And so, again, that's why I'm making everything available 24/7. That's, you know, I mean, the county headquarters aren't open 24/7. And now someone can sit there and go through these reports anytime they want, and their weekend hours, whatever. But again, you know, we also note in the report that there are some bills out there that want to make the counties essentially send this information to the Department of State, and the Department of State would start to host it there. There's still a lot to be worked out there, and I'll tell you, I've been working on this for like a week or two about how the Department of State actually collects that information and eventually gets it uploaded to the public. And I've been working on this for 2 weeks, Don, on how the Department of State does this, and I'm getting very few answers, and it's really frustrating. The Department of State's not telling us much, and even my inquiries down to contacts at Harrisburg, nobody wants to seem to talk about this. And so there are some bills that want to address this, but the basic facts of how things work at the Department of State level to get state information published, it's still pretty opaque to me at this moment.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. And so you think about, for you, a trained, you know, veteran investigative reporter, and really the average person should be able to look this stuff up, and it should be easy.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you're frustrated, that basically says to the everyday person, well, how could we have transparency? How could we look that up? Just because we talked about the state level, I'll just say these numbers. That in Pennsylvania, we set that record this year with Democrat Josh Shapiro winning. And obviously it was a race that had national significance, but he topped $110 million, which is incredible for that fundraising, and obviously beat Mastriano within that. But if we look at the money and who donated to the governor's campaign, Josh Shapiro obviously was victorious. Labor unions kicked in $11.5 million. And we had wealthy Democrats from California giving a ton of money. as well as even New York, former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, tech entrepreneur Bill Harris Jr. I mean, these were millions and millions of dollars. But listed in there, we do have, for example, I do see George Soros listed. So George Soros did donate to Shapiro's campaign, not the millions. I think he gave, six-figure amounts. But in there as well, Philadelphia Eagles owner Jeff Lurie and the Carolina Panthers owner David Tepper. I thought that was interesting. Fanatics owner Michael Rubin, filmmaker Steven Spielberg. So we have all of these different donations. So obviously a lot of donations that were from the West Coast. And I think that's, for me personally, I do like to know which candidates, especially to your point, Todd Shepard, at the county level. You think about, well, why in the world would a billionaire on the West Coast care about a county level election in, let's say, Bucks County? I think that raises the eyebrows, right?
I totally agree. And I'll look, this is just a little supposition on my part, a little bit of a wager, if you will. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see a decent number of out-of-state contributions in the Central Bucks races this November, just because the media around what has gone on there in the last year has been so dominant. It's been like a drumbeat. It's been so contentious at points that, and again, you're talking about a school district that's different than the school district of Philadelphia or Allegheny schools. You're talking about one that's very suburban. It's in one of the most purplish swing counties, important swing counties in one of the most important swing states. And so I think there are a lot of, particularly on the left, I think there are a lot of people on the left who look at Central Bucks as a kind of icon, if you will. And, and so what happens there, they can say, well, look how well we did in Central Bucks or whatever. And so that could draw a lot of out-of-state money. So I definitely think, I don't have any proof of it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen.
I just wanted to quickly touch on one of your latest articles as well at broadandliberty.com when you talked about the fact, as we mentioned, Governor Shapiro, that the Republicans this week in Pennsylvania blasting their counterparts as saying that the House Democrats broke with their own governor producing this bloated budget. Can you talk a little bit about the budget in Pennsylvania right now and what you're writing about in your latest piece?
Well, this is budget month, and as you said in the lead up, the budget by law has to be finished by the end of the month. And so this is the month really when kind of everything else in Harrisburg gets set to the side and really budget takes over everything. Earlier this week, the House, or on Monday, if I'm remembering right, it's been a confusing week, but also on Monday, the House Democrats passed their budget, and essentially House Republicans were already complaining about the increases in Josh Shapiro's proposed budget, but then House Democrats they added even more to what Shapiro had proposed. The House Republicans put out a press release and said basically House Democrats have sabotaged their own governor by going above and beyond what he was proposing. I don't have the percentages right off the top of my head, but it's a significant. If you looked at the House bill that was passed this week, it's a significant increase over this year's spending. I mean, and by significant, I'm thinking it's well over 7, maybe even as close as 10%. So we're talking about a lot. I mean, we're talking about a few $1 billion here of an increase over Shapiro's budget. So again, the big question here is how much the Senate is able to, the Republican-controlled Senate, able to maybe curb some of that spending in a Republican fashion, if that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, you write about it in the details, and I would encourage, I know that we are a well-informed audience, so broadandliberty.com, but I mean, to think about tacking on this $1.8 1.08 billion to the $45.9 billion budget introed by Shapiro. And then you go through it and putting it in perspective, saying that they need to approve more than a 30% increase in, for example, the personal income tax to cover the House Democrats' proposed new spending. That spells trouble in an already tough economy with this record inflation and so on and so forth. I just don't see that happening. Yeah.
And hey, while we're on other stories, if I can, I've got a story that I'm publishing in an hour. If I can give you a quick tease on that,
we'd love it.
I'd love. So, earlier this year, let me start off that last year, as a lot of people will know, the government in Delaware County took over the day-to-day management of the county prison. Right, it had been privately managed for almost 3 decades. And when the county government did this, they said we're going to be better managers, more humane, and all of these great promises. It's not exactly turning out that way. And since they've taken over, there have been 5 deaths at the prison, 3 suicides. One person was killed by his own cellmate. But then there's this other one that's very odd, and we're investigating this. This is what the new story is about. There was a person who died in February, and county officials said it was a delayed homicide. So what they're saying is he was shot before he came into prison, but then after he was incarcerated, he died from the gunshot wound. Now, he was in prison for 55 days, so, he appeared to be okay to a degree, right? But county officials wouldn't even tell us his name. We only learned his name by getting documents through a right-to-know request. And we have now twice asked the county to tell us, when was this person shot? What were the circumstances? Do you have a suspect in that shooting? Is the suspect in custody? And we've not only asked that to county officials, we've also asked that to the Delaware County DA's office, and nobody is telling us anything. This person who was in prison, had a long rap sheet, and I'm not going to say that this person's the greatest person in the world, but that doesn't mean that he gets, that we can just push him aside. And I think the county officials need to start answering some questions on these things, and we're the only people asking them.
Well, we can't wait to hear the results and read that one. Todd Shepard, broadandliberty.com. Todd, thank you so much for updating us on all that you're investigating. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. We look forward to the findings with regard to Todd's newest investigation, death at the Delco prison. And it's really about a respect for life issue, that every life matters. And so this individual dying 55 days later of a gunshot, raising a lot of questions there. So Todd has taken the deep dive, and we look forward to that being posted within the hour at Broad and Liberty. So much more to talk about. We'll talk about all issues involving First Amendment with Andy Bloom, who used to work here when we were CBS News Radio and then turned to Entercom and then Odyssey. But Andy Bloom, a great conservative writer and a great mind as well. We'll talk to Andy Bloom. But around the corner, we'll update you as well on some of the day's issues, top stories. We got it all covered for you. Thanks for being here on The Dawn Show.
Your weekends just got a lot better. It's the Saturday Night Free-for-All. Starting at 7 p.m., Talk Radio 1210 WPHT is live and local with Michael Pelka from 7 to 10 p.m.
People are smuggling eggs into America. I want you to think about that.
And Jimmy Fallon, 10 to midnight.
I don't buy the notion that a lawyer saw a document marked classified and immediately stopped reading.
The Saturday Night Free-for-All. Listen this weekend. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and on the free Odyssey app.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli with some Father's Day advice for you. Dads want steak. How do I know? Because I'm a dad and I love great steaks. And for a limited time, when you go to omahasteaks.com and enter my name, Zioli, in the search bar, you'll be able to order the Dad's Favorite gift package for just $99.99. Plus, you'll get 8 free Omaha Steaks burgers with your order. You'll save over 60% on the Dad's Favorite grill pack, and you'll get bacon-wrapped fillets, air-chilled boneless chicken breast, boneless pork chops, gourmet jumbo franks, caramel apple tart, tartlets, and Omaha Steak seasoning, plus 8 free Omaha Steaks burgers for only $99.99. And just use my name, Zioli, at omahasteaks.com in the search bar. Order the Dad's Favorite gift package for Father's Day today. Remember, gifting is easy. Dads want steak, and Omaha Steaks isn't just steak, it's the best steak of your life, guaranteed. So right now, don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com, type Zioli into the search bar, order the Dad's Favorite gift package for Father's Day today.
Hurts, gives it off, and keeps it, and rolls down to the 2, and is he in? Yes! He let it go, and it's intercepted. It's picked up by Josh Sweat. 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Josh Sweat! Deep down the far side, and it is A.J. Brown again! Another touchdown! He steps up, he's hit, he fumbles the football, but I think he has it. Nope. Now the Eagles have it! That'll be the game! He breaks away at the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Miles Sanders, touchdown! Wow. He is firing the football, and it is caught by DeVonta Smith! Great catch! Attention, air traffic control. A flock of Eagles is heading to Arizona.
Ah, sweet memories. Last season was so much fun, and I believe this season will be even better. If you want your business to be part of this season's Eagles Radio Network highlight reel, email advertise@94wip.com for information. More great action is quickly approaching.
Deborah Heart and Lung Center and Cleveland Clinic Heart Vascular and Thoracic Institute have formed a powerful alliance. Legends in Caregiving New Jersey Families, the most sophisticated heart team in America. Innovators in research and patient care who've made life better for thousands of patients, raising the standard for the next generation of care. The alliance between Deborah Heart and Lung Center and Cleveland Clinic Heart Vascular and Thoracic Institute means the highest quality care close to home for you. DemandDeborah.org.
Hey, you know life throws you curveballs. Stress, anxiety, and unhappiness. I'm Dave Raymond, keynote speaker, and yes, the original Philly fanatic. And I want to talk to you. I've been sharing my message around the world. It's a message about how fun and happiness can make the world a better place and can save your life. Contact me now at daveraymondspeaks.com. I'd love to speak for your team at your next company outing, conference, or meeting. See you soon at daveraymondspeaks.com.
You're guaranteed to have a blast at the Xfinity Post-Game Fireworks Show, following the Phils NL East battle against the Nationals on Friday, June 30th at 6:05. Grab your tickets now at Phillies.com. Head to CBP on Saturday, July 15th at 1:05 for the first game of a day-night doubleheader when the Phils take on the Padres, and all fans receive a Toyota Bryce Harper 2022 NL Champs replica ring. Order tickets at Phillies.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. June is the month to make your pet green by keeping them plastic-free. When buying toys for your pet, look for toys made with natural materials like cotton, rope, wood, or bamboo. Even better, make toys out of old t-shirts, socks, or towels. Your dog or cat will love your upcycled toy just as much. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Hey, the Pennsylvania Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association and Parks Racing inviting you to a day of family fun this Saturday, tomorrow at the track. Parks Racing, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's when the gates open. The Basset Hounds are back. Barks at the Parks, PARX, and Belmont Stakes Day, of course. Enjoy a lot of family fun at the Parks Picnic Grove from noon to 5. Featuring a lot of pony rides, moon bounces, face painters, fun for the kids, great music by DJ Tonka, food, beverage specials, souvenir merchandise. So come watch the Basset Hound races in between the thoroughbred races. It all benefits the Tri-State Basset Hound Rescue. Enjoy all the thrill of live thoroughbred racing and watch the Belmont Stakes on the big screen at Parks Racing. First post, 12:05, just after lunchtime. It's all from the Pennsylvania Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association and Parks Racing in Bensalem. That's in Bucks County. Street Road exit right off 95 and the PA Turnpike. Just come for a day of family fun. Tomorrow at the track, Parks Racing, gates open 10 a.m. Must be 18 to wager at Parks Racing, 21 to gamble at Parks Casino. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Follow Talk Radio 1210 on Instagram and Facebook at 1210 WPHT.
So coming up at right 11 o'clock, I'll give you my take on the situation that was breaking news last night. And we knew all week, of course, we knew that there were efforts and movements within the Mar-a-Lago case against Trump. But I will ask you moving forward, and this is coming up at 11 after our interview in just a few seconds. I'll ask you the question, were you shocked at this historic moment, which I think is a sad day in history for our country, to have a former United States president indicted in this way and the leading GOP candidate? So we'll talk about that. You'll hear his statements. We'll move forward. And then the latest on Moms for Liberty being labeled as pretty much an extremist, almost like they're as if these moms are some kind of terrorists threatening democracy in America. How dare women in America express their opinion? You need to stifle, little lady. Stay barefoot and pregnant in your home. I mean, to me, it's outlandish. It's outrageous. Where are the women's rights groups? So you'll hear from some moms within Moms for Liberty. And this is a national group, yes, but they're just local moms. It's a real grassroots organization. Moms just fighting for their kids, fighting for parental rights seems pretty reasonable. So you'll hear from them. And this is a common theme that I'm hitting, as you know, talking to Alice, pregnant mommy from here on the East Coast, who's now really activated. And somebody who's homeschooled her kids. She's pregnant with her 5th baby and now saying, wow, I've got to jump into this. Because why? Moms are becoming soldiers, true fighters for liberty for their kids, for our kids. And I feel this is a call that a lot of us moms and parents, moms and dads and grandparents, caregivers, but especially moms, are now taking to the front lines in this battle. Well, somebody else who I know well and who actually hired me here at WPHT, seems like yesterday, years ago, Andy Bloom is a great writer, great person, great man, writing for Broad and Liberty. We love your latest article that some people's First Amendment rights are more equal than others. Good morning, Andy Bloom.
Thank you, Dawn. How are you?
I'm doing great. We've had, the smoke is clearing a little bit in Philadelphia. So I don't know, maybe somewhere there's an analogy for what's going on nationally and in America with all the smoke. We got to clear the smoke. But
there's a lot of smoke being blown, isn't there?
Unfortunately. But talk
Canada, put out your fires.
But talk to me a little bit about your latest piece in Broad and Liberty, talking about First Amendment rights and how we do have this unequal system. A lot of people, and even over the last, less than 12 hours, Andy talking about liberty, talking about First Amendment rights, and talking about this unequal system of justice in America.
Well, we have the First Amendment, and among the liberties that it guarantees us is protection of speech, free speech. We're all supposed to have free speech. And the 14th Amendment is known as the Equal Protection Clause, which ensures all Americans are subject to the same laws. Well, any conservative will tell you they don't have the same First Amendment rights as the more politically correct liberals. And we've known it for years. We've known that our social media has been censored. And if we didn't know it, Elon Musk's $44 billion purchase of Twitter showed it to us pretty clearly. Every month of the year is dedicated to another special interest group. Last month, May, was Asia Pacific American Heritage Month. We have Black History Month. We have Caribbean American Heritage Month. We even have Disability Employment Awareness Month. But this month is one of our favorites. June is Gay Pride and Lesbian Month. I don't have any objection to the various months, but you know what we don't have? We don't have White Men Month, and we don't have American History Month. And if a member of Congress ever tried to propose either, they would immediately be denounced as a white supremacist or as a nationalist, which, of course, in liberal terms is a dog whistle for the word Nazi. I'll give you a couple of examples of the hypocrisy in America. In Massachusetts, there's a 12-year-old boy named Leon Morrison. Liam shows up wearing a shirt that says, "There are only two genders," And immediately, first period of the day, the school staff told him that other students complained that the shirt made them feel unsafe. Now, Liam didn't have any complaints. First period of the day, they've already pulled him out and told him if he doesn't change his shirt, they're going to send him home, which they did, made his father come pick him up. He ends up at a school board meeting, and it's online. You can find this, Liam, L-I-A-M, Morrison. And he does a very eloquent speech to the school board, and he says, I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity posters hung throughout the school because others have a right to their beliefs just as I have a right to my belief. And he asked the right question. Are their feelings, their beliefs more important than my rights? School board's unmoved. They won't let him wear his shirt. The family takes them to court with help from the Alliance Defending Freedom, a nonprofit legal group, saying that his First Amendment rights are being violated. Preliminary hearing, a federal judge, a Trump appointee no less, rules that Morrison could not wear the shirt pending the case's final outcome, which is postponed until after the school year. So it'll take until next year to decide whether Liam can wear his shirt or not. So there's his First Amendment rights being violated. Meanwhile, in Tennessee, the state legislature passes a law that drag queen story hour can't happen in public libraries, which activists immediately challenge, and a federal judge knocks down, finding it unconstitutionally vague and broad. So that law, designed to prevent children from attending drag queen story hour at libraries, not to prevent trans people from dressing up as women, or prevent campy adult shows, that law gets knocked down. But Liam, he can't wear his T-shirt. There's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. That everybody's First Amendment rights aren't equal. Now, I think that what they really want isn't equal rights for drag queens, because if Mrs. Doubtfire had shown up to read at Drag Queen Story Hour, we probably wouldn't have any complaints. But what we have showing up at libraries to read to children are extras from the movie Showgirls. Look like streetwalkers. Yeah. So they're doing things provocatively to drive the complaints and the issues, not because they really just want to dress up like women and be peaceful and not raise any issues. Somehow, when race and cultural appropriations are bad, but gender appropriation, that's good. Religious symbols are banned from public libraries. Christmas tree, menorah, that might make somebody uncomfortable, so we ban religious symbols from libraries and schools. But if a man dresses up like a streetwalker or a stripper reading to children makes you uncomfortable, you're transphobic, you're homophobic, or both. And that you have to put up with. So clearly, not everybody's First Amendment rights are equal. And that's what I've written. That's my new column, which you can find at broadandliberty.com. So is it all about politics and we're just being played as Andy Bloom? Because you're a husband and father. I mean, are they tugging at our emotions, trying to divide America further? Partisans can fundraise on it. In Bucks County, which I know you know well, they're running on this, saying they're book banning, bullyish, anti-LGBTQ plus, versus parents who say, no, we're not any of that. We just don't want our children's innocence robbed, and we want approved curriculum, and we want parental rights. And so... Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I write 2 weekly columns. I write one for Broad and Liberty, and I write another one for Barrett News Service. And I just wrote another one about book banning. First of all, books aren't being banned. Let's stop calling it book banning, because nobody's banning books. I tried to buy the book that they ban the most is called Genderqueer. And I tried to buy it at a bookstore where I could go pick it up in Florida. I went online and tried to buy it at Barnes & Noble. You can buy it at any Barnes & Noble and pick it up in less than two business hours anywhere in Florida. Well, let me take that back. The bookstore that was closest to the Villages in Florida, they didn't have it in stock. But every other Barnes & Noble had it in stock. So if you're an adult and you want to buy it at a bookstore, you can. What we're talking about is removing sexually explicit material from libraries libraries at public schools for minors. That's what we're talking about. That's different than banning books. Banning books is what we do when we burn books and we keep them away from everybody so they're not available to the public. Keeping books that are sexually explicit away from minors is different than banning books. What they're doing is being provocative to try to change the norm, try to change normal. And that's different than saying we want equal rights. It's not equal rights. They want more rights. They want to change what's normal in society.
And now we have, because I think that Democrats are looking at this issue and saying we can get traction out of this. And so we have the Biden administration appointing an anti-book ban coordinator. So this is alluding to, I guess, federal dollars, right? Because now they're appointing an anti-book ban coordinator and new LGBTQ plus protections for families. That was just unveiled yesterday. This is all about the 2024 election. Am I wrong here that this would allow federal...
No, I think you're right, but we have to change the way we talk about it. So a liberal friend of mine just posted a poll that shows that people are against banning books. Yeah. Well, no duh. I'm against banning books too, but I also am against having sexually explicit material available in schools. So what I suggested to this person, and this person writes questionnaires for a living, they know as well as I do, because I've done research for most of my life, they know as well as I do, if you ask the question, are you against banning books, people will say, yes, I'm against banning books. But let's read the sexually explicit passages from Genderqueer and ask people if they want their children, their minor children, to have access to that material in school libraries. That is different. So instead of saying we're for banning books or talking about banning books, let's talk about should we have sexually explicit material available to minors in their school libraries. That's different than banning books. We have to reframe the question.
Yeah, and Genderqueer it looks like a comic book, right? It's a graphic novel. And so that's a piece of that there are a lot of images in here. And it goes through. And if you look online, they don't have the most explicit material, right? They just have like, what even are you, a boy or a girl? So they make it look, right. They tone it down when you just look at their advertisement within it. But I think, go ahead.
And the whole question of this quote-unquote gender-affirming treatment, look, you can't vote until you're 18 years old. You can't own a gun until you're 18 years old. You can't get a tattoo. You can't drink. I mean, let's go through all the list of things you can do. But somehow your brain is mature enough when you're in middle school or high school to make a decision that you want to change your gender, which really is changing your sex. We have to stop allowing the word gender and sex to be interchangeable. You were born either with an X chromosome or a Y chromosome. That's what you are. When you go to the doctor doesn't want to know, do you think you're a boy or do you think you're a girl? You have a physiology. You have an X chromosome or a Y chromosome. The doctor will treat you based on your physiology, not what you think you are. If you have a good doctor with a good bedside manner and say, I think I'm a cat, the doctor will say, okay, you're a cat. But they want to know if you have an X chromosome or a Y chromosome because that's how they will treat you. So I'll be respectful. If you want to be called it, he, she, cat, I'll call you whatever you want to be called because I'm a respectful human being and I don't mind calling you whatever you want to be called. But biologically, there are two sexes, and that's what you are at birth.
Amen to that. Andy Bloom, the final question here, looking at this group, Moms for Liberty, that's being demonized, and I've talked a lot about it. I've interviewed a lot of different moms from the area and across the country who are upset with this, now being labeled as this extremist group. There's an upcoming convention right here in Philadelphia bringing moms together. What do you see moving forward as now, we saw Biden in Philadelphia, I'll just paint that picture, with the two Marines behind him, that weird red lighting that they created. Right. And they said, yes, the MAGA. And now it just feels like they're going after moms and women. What do you see when you look at the political landscape and the way that Democrats versus Republicans are campaigning?
Well, if there was something that I thought that Biden was going to do that I thought, okay, let's give this guy the benefit of the doubt. Let's embrace him for a second. This guy ran on the idea that he was going to unite us and bring us together. But he's done the exact opposite. That dark Brandon moment is the defining moment of his presidency, where he said, I'm not going to bring you together. I'm going to divide you further. And he's been every bit as bad as Trump for dividing the nation. He's been no better. And that's been the biggest disappointment. A guy who really has no brain power left, I mean, he's Skeletor at this point, is now running on a platform that is designed to divide the nation. Don't forget, it was his Justice Department with his Attorney General, Merrick Garland, that literally said, we're going to make parents into terrorists at school board meetings. That's what they've done. So they are dividing the nation worse than Trump ever dreamed of doing. And that's a horrible thing. But that's how they're running in 2024, and it really does need to stop.
What are you working on next? Andy Bloom, Broad and Liberty, and I know you write for Barrett Media as well. What's up next for you?
Well, I'm living in Minnesota now. I've been out here for a few years, and what the state legislature did here in 2023, they won the trifecta. That means they have the House, the Senate, and the governorship, something that you have now in Pennsylvania. And the difference is that our governor here ran for his second term. So once he had his second term and didn't have to face re-election, they went full bore. We had a $17 billion state surplus. They spent the entire $17 billion surplus, raised spending by 40%. So now this state will have to come up with the additional $17 billion every revenue cycle, plus 40% additional spending, and pass some of the most egregious bills. So I'm going to write that next for Broad and Liberty as a warning to Pennsylvanians. You don't want to go down the path that Minnesota went down. You really need to put some legislators in and not let the Democrats have what Minnesota had this past legislative session. Take a look at what they did in Minnesota and don't let it happen in Pennsylvania. Minnesota is going to come to regret it in the next 4 to 6 years. Don't you go down the same road. So I'm working on that. People can find me on Twitter at Andy Bloom, at AndyBloom.com, which is Andy Bloom Communications. I'm also on Facebook where I engage in debates with lots of people. And you can email me at Andy@AndyBloom.com.
Andy Bloom, thank you so much. And a timely article with Pennsylvania, the House, I've been reporting on that bloated budget, even more bloated than their fellow Democrat Josh Shapiro. So we're well on our way to doing that, unfortunately. Thank you so much, my friend. Thanks for sounding off and giving us your take.
Have a great weekend, Don. Thanks so much for having me.
Andy Bloom, thank you very much. Broad and Liberty, you can check him out, Andy Bloom, and he gave you all that contact info. Okay. We'll do a quick reset. We have a lot coming up. We'll talk more about Moms for Liberty. We have a lot of local news. We'll take you down the Jersey Shore. The latest, they had a big council meeting yesterday, so we'll tell you what happened in Ocean City as well as some of the other shore points and as well the forecast with the smoke in the air. We're clearing all the smoke here on the Dawn Show. So, spring, summertime, it feels so good to at least have the warmer weather. No better time to find that new or certified luxury vehicle you've been wanting. And my friends from Piazza Premium Automobiles, they're always here for you to assist you in your unique vehicle search throughout the tri-state region. That's right, the Piazza Premium family featuring dealerships across Delaware, across New Jersey, and of course, across Pennsylvania with their newest location, Jaguar Land Rover, Harrisburg. So find your Alfa Romeo, your Maserati, your Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Jaguar, or Land Rover at PiazzaPremiumAutos.com, Piazza, PiazzaPremiumAutos.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
I love crab cakes. He loves crab cakes. She loves crab cakes. Captain Chucky's Crab Cake Company. We love crabcakes.com. Made fresh daily. Party trays, shrimp soups, desserts, and much more. Find out why everybody loves Captain Chucky's. We love crabcakes.com.
This is Flea for This Little Light, a podcast about falling in love with music. I started a nonprofit music school about 20 years ago called the Silver Lake Conservatory of Music. The reason that I started doing this podcast was music education. I'll be speaking with Rick Rubin, Thundercat, Stuart Copeland, Margot Price, Corey Henry, Cynthia Erivo, Sheila E., and Patty Smith.
Please listen and follow This Little Light, a presentation of Cadence 13 on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's face it, your company is still feeling the financial effects of the pandemic. And if you own a restaurant, dental practice, or other small business that persevered through lockdown, a quick phone call to Omega Accounting Solutions can be a game changer. Omega Accounting Solutions is an established, respected accounting firm, helping businesses like yours receive the ERC tax credit. Unlike CPAs and others who may not grasp all the complexities of the ERC, Omega's experts are fully trained to understand ERC qualifications and simplify the application process. Learn in less than 10 minutes if you are a good candidate. Call Omega even if you've applied for other pandemic assistance in the past. If your company employed 5 to 500 employees during the COVID crisis and continue to pay payroll taxes, you may be eligible to receive a refund of up to $26,000 per employee. Running a small business is challenging enough. Trust Omega Accounting Solutions to help claim the tax credits you deserve. Call now 1-800-300-9ERC or online at OmegaTaxCredits.com. The phone number again, 1-800-39-ERC. That's 1-800-300-9372.
At Cherry Hill Volvo, Costco members have a $2,500 incentive on the purchase or lease of an electric Volvo. There is a $1,000 incentive on all gas and hybrid 2023 models. Explore this safe and versatile 2023 XC90 and take advantage of special financing, a rate of under 5%. Visit Cherry Hill Volvo for a full list of extraordinary offers for both new and previously owned Cherry Hill Volvos. Visit us now. We have the inventory and we have competitive offers.
Attention real estate investors, PK Capital Funding, in business for over 30 years, provides creative funding for fix and flips up to 100%, 1 to 4 family properties, Far National Construction, and more. Call today, 267-266-0797.
Attention business owners. PK Capital Funding provides business loans even with a 500 credit score for manufacturing, doctor's offices, restaurants, auto repair, builders, and more. Call today, 267-266-0797, 267-266-0797.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. It's hot weather season, but imagine your house always being cool and comfortable no matter how hot it is outside. The sad truth is 7 out of 10 homes are poorly insulated. Is yours? Here's some of the telltale signs. Is your house too hot? Does your AC have to run almost nonstop to keep it cool? Do you have different temperatures on different floors or in different rooms? Are your power bills too high? I had these exact issues, and I decided I wasn't going to just live with it, nor did I want to move to a new house. My solution? USA Premium Foam Insulation. My house became instantly comfortable, and my electric bill went down substantially. It's been a wonderful, wonderful improvement to my home. If you want a cool, comfortable home with lower power bills, give USA Insulation a call at 1-800-USA-FOAM. If you call now, when they foam your walls, they'll insulate your attic for free. 1-800-USA-FOAM. Again, free attic insulation when they foam your walls. USAinsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
You can shed that fat and be slimmer for this summer. No more wearing cover-ups or t-shirts in the pool. NJ Diet will help you the natural way. There are no shots, no hormones, and no surgery. You will lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. Locations throughout the East Coast or available from home with live online video consultations. 855-5NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com, njdiet.com.
Rich Zioli.
The new movie that was about that guy who flies jet planes, you know what I'm talking about? Top Gun.
You know, the one with the guy with the planes, and he's flying in the planes, and then, you know that one? If the kid had said airplane, he probably would have said, yeah, that's it. I can do this all day. I saw the shark movie recently. Shark eats everybody at the beach, and then it bites the boat. Jaws? Yeah, that's it.
Rich Zioli, weekday afternoons, 3 to 7. Talk Radio 1210. WPHT. and on the free Odyssey app. The Dawn Stensland Show. Dawn Stensland live and local on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Happy Friday. The smoke is clearing, but we're still under a code orange in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Still a code red for Delaware. I don't smell anything today, so it looks to be a beautiful weekend just ahead. But still, the headlines in Philadelphia that we had the worst fine particle day with regard to air pollution on record in our city. When did we start keeping the fine particle documents? I don't know that we are such an old city. Did Ben Franklin start that trend? I don't know about that, but let's get to Kathy in Bucks County. Hey, Kathy, thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks, Dawn. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I just wanted to say that the last caller mentioned about Biden dividing the country. He hasn't just divided it; he's destroyed this country. And not only and to get on to the male and female issue. I mean, nothing's being said about the things that are going on in these schools where kids are coming in acting like cats and dogs, and they're being given kitty litter to go to the bathroom in. I mean, what is this all about? Yeah. I mean, it's just ludicrous.
Yeah,
and the kids are allowed to bark at each other and meow at each other. I mean, come on.
I know.
And we not only have to worry about the one thing about the male-female, now we have to worry about animals. Come on. It's just not right.
Yeah, I agree. Kathy, thank you so much for the call, and I hope you have a great Friday. Yeah, when we think about what we're talking about, and that's why I keep all day, every day, I try to put it in perspective, even though everybody now is switching to the narrative of Trump, right? That nobody's talking about Biden, nobody's talking about the ballooning debt, nobody's talking about inflation, nobody's talking about the southern border, nobody's talking about even the latest with the Biden administration now apparently wanting to pump money, federal focus on this anti-book banning coordinator. What the heck does that mean? It's all about the 2024 election. That's what it means. And so we're focused off of everything we should be talking about, the real issues with regard to the economy and jobs and getting back to pre-pandemic, hopefully, numbers, and talking about the weaponization of DOJ. I could go on, and I know you could too. But we have to keep that in perspective and keep that as the focus. And I would say for any candidate, but particularly any candidate who's on the GOP side running in 2024, they have to keep the issues center and focus. Be focused. And for Trump as well. Of course, we'll bring you all the latest on what's happening, what we're learning about the unsealing of the latest indictment against Donald J. Trump. When that happens, what is expected, so much developing and breaking, and then a really creepy allegation by at least a half a dozen young women who was spying on them, what was captured, who did it, who's being named in the latest legal case. We'll update you. It's a local big university that's been in the headlines. So much to talk about right here on The Dawn Show.
Don't miss Dr. Marianne Ritchie, your radio doctor, Saturday afternoons at 5. Tune in for accurate information so you can make the right medical decisions. Your radio doctor, Dr. Marianne Ritchie, Saturday afternoons at 5 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
It's for